So I don't want to give you the wrong impression. Newton's method, absolutely amazing tool. That second order or quadratic convergence is highly desirable, and it does a great job at what it does. But there are some circumstances where it can be a little problematic, right? For example, take a look at this function. Let's say we wanted to use Newton's method to approximate its roots. Well, the function itself is pretty simple. It only takes two operations to evaluate. You got to evaluate the secant and then do the multiplication with x. But anyone who's taken a first semester calculus class has seen this happen. Sometimes you can have a relatively simple looking function and the derivative is not so simple. This one, for example, takes 6 operations to evaluate. Yes, I'm counting the two secants separately. Your compiler may have some optimizations where it can recognize that it's getting reused within that function, but we can't assume. Right, so worst case scenario, that's going to take 6 operations to get the job done. So what can we do about this? Well, it turns out there's a method we can use. It's called the secant method that gets us around that issue. So with Newton's method, we started off with a single approximation, p sub 0, and we looked at the tangent line. Right, this is the slope of the tangent line. With the secant method, we're going to need 2 initial approximations. And instead of the slope of the tangent line, what we're going to do is, not surprising given the name, we're going to look at the slope of the secant line. Right, because here's the thing, you can kind of see this in the picture. If we choose our 2 values reasonably carefully, then the slope of the secant line is going to be a pretty decent approximation of the slope of the tangent line. So now if we go to Newton's, the formula for Newton's method, and we substitute this secant slope for f prime, we get this approximation. And it might not look better. It is better in a lot of ways. Because, for example, take a look at what's happening when we start doing the evaluations. To calculate P2, we need to calculate f of P0 and f of P1. To calculate the next pass, to calculate P3, we need f of P1 and f of P2. But this is where things get good, because we already know f of P1. Right, so if we're a little careful and we keep track of that value between iterations of our loop, we're actually not just reducing the cost of the second function call, we're actually eliminating it altogether. Right, so let's take a look at an example here and see what happens. So I stuck with our x secant of x, and I ran this through Newton's method and the secant method, and you can see my initial approximation, 1/2 for both, and I added 0.4 for the second approximation in the secant method. And I've got the methods themselves down there at the bottom because we need to take those into consideration. Once we've got f of x and f prime of x in Newton's method, we still have to add 2 more additional operations. We have to add the division and the subtraction. Where over with the secant method, we have 3 subtractions, a multiplication, and a division. So we have to add 5. And those, of course, in addition to the actual function calls. So looking at Newton's method, the initial pass took the 2 for the method itself, plus 6 for the derivative, plus 2 for the function call, came out to a total of 10, and that's going to be constant. Right, we're using the exact same functions every pass. That one, it's a nice arithmetic sequence, goes up by 10 every time. Now, if we look at the secant method, on the first pass, we need f of x 0, which takes 2 operations. We need f of x1, which takes 2 more operations, plus the 5 from the method itself. We're up to 9. Then on each succeeding operation, these are running counts here for the number of operations. For each succeeding operation, we only need to do 1 function call. That's what we saw in the last slide. So we take the 5 for the formula, 2 for that 1 function call, 9 from the previous step because we're doing this cumulatively, and we get 16. And now we're going up by 7. With each pass through the algorithm. So you can see, just from the numbers here, it takes Newton's method 3 passes and 30 operations to get out to it's about the 10 to the negative 8th level. It took the secant method 4 passes to get to that same level and the same number of operations, and this would be our break-even point. Right, so this is from here on, the secant method's number of operations is going up by 7, where Newton's method is going up by 10. So if for whatever reason we wanted to go further than this, the secant method would become the less costly just in terms of total arithmetic operations. So, raises kind of an obvious question, right? When is one of these methods preferred over the other? The secant method is preferable when the derivative is unusually complicated. Wasn't too bad with our x secant of x function, but it's not hard to come up with functions that could be worse. Another situation is when the function is a black box. For example, you might just be given the compiled version of a function by another division or another department and told, hey, we need to approximate this, and you have no way of calculating the derivative. Right? So if you can't find the derivative at all, well, then obviously the method that doesn't use it, and the secant method is going to be a good backup. And a third time is when the derivative is unstable. Okay, so what do I mean by unstable? Well, look at this example here. Yeah, the function g of x equals sine of 1 over x, and its derivative is negative 1 over x squared cosine 1 over x. These functions both just oscillate wildly in any neighborhood of 0. So much so that they're going to be very difficult to use in the Newton's method formula, because they're never settling down, or they're never becoming consistent. So that's another situation where the secant method will be preferable. All 3 of those, I'll admit, are a little unusual, right? So as a general rule, I would say that Newton's method is going to be your best choice. However, it is nice to know that if you do somehow end up in some weird situation, you do have a backup, right? The secant method will work for you. We're going to look at something called Horner's method. This is kind of a custom method, right? Polynomials come up really often in practical applications, and Horner's method is going to be it's another play on Newton's method, but with some nice added efficiencies that we can again kind of use to dodge finding the derivative that are going to let us calculate the zeros of polynomials really quickly. Actually, as you'll see, kind of spoiler alert, we're going to end up being able to do it in linear time, big O of n time.